can fly also.
Charlotte Soccer Show. John Hayes, Danny Brams. Danny, what's going on? It's a Thursday in the Queen City. It's another match week here for Charlotte FC. These matches continue to come fast and furious. It's good to see you, and it's nice to know that there's a new designated player in town, Danny, somebody that you got to meet on Tuesday night at Atrium Health Performance Park. You've had quite the week, haven't you?
It's already been an amazing match week. Tuesday night was one of those nights that's just special, it's a special part of the club experience for everyone who was lucky enough to do it. I know all the supporters groups got to a certain amount of allotment of tickets, and they could distribute them within their groups. And a lot of them sent, some of the people who hadn't been to these events before. So it was a lot of people like at a thing like this for the first time, meeting Liel Abada, reception with him. He got to put on all the scarves. He's posing for dozens and dozens of pictures. He was supposed to do pictures for like 5 minutes. Took 20 minutes because he's just a patient kid that was really there, happy to meet everybody. Awesome night. Plenty of coverage of that on our social feeds, and go back and check it out if you missed it for sure. But we can't wait to see Liel in action. And we're here today to preview Charlotte FC and New England Revolution.
Yes, we are. And we're crossing our fingers. We're hoping to see Liel make his full debut on Saturday night at New England. We've got a watch party here at our presenting sponsor, Hot Fly Brewing Company. Going to be a fantastic evening, of course, in the brew house. Make sure you get here on Saturday night to watch this match. It could be, based on the way New England's playing, Danny, the way they are, I don't know, let's call them last in MLS right now.
Winless.
And with a lot of players playing on Tuesday night in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, this is probably Charlotte's best opportunity to get 3 points on the road. So we'll get into that, Danny, but first we've got a special guest, as always, on our Thursday show.
We always have a special guest on Thursdays, thanks to our great, great friends at Apple who've been working with us all season. I'm going to, by the way, first, I'm going to uncross my fingers. I'm going to guarantee Liel Abada starts on Saturday. I'm not going to guarantee a win, but I'm going to guarantee we see Liel make his full debut. And as you've seen on my guarantees on this show in the past, they don't always work out, but I feel pretty good about this one. So we got a special guest. If you think about it, think about who have you not seen on this show. You've seen Kalen Kyle, you've seen BWP, but who have you not seen? We finally got him, folks. He's here. We went deep into the vault. And please welcome.
Now to keep us up to speed in the fast and furious world of sport, it's Kevin Egan. Kev, how goes it?
Very well indeed.
You were at Thomond Park last night. I can only imagine how phenomenal the atmosphere was.
The New Zealanders playing for Munster before the game did the haka to their fellow countrymen was just absolutely phenomenal. And also the fact that the New Zealanders recognised that and respected that was brilliant. It was a great moment in sport, and listen to the crowd in Thomond Park behind those guys. Yeah, it was a great moment in sport.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Egan joins Charlotte Soccer Show. How you doing, Kevin?
Man. I'm good, thanks. I'm good. That was a good what was it? Oh, man, that was probably 2006.
Yeah, the video was posted 11 years ago on YouTube. I went deep diving and found that it looked like maybe some early days of your career, sir.
Who posted that? That's crazy. 11 years ago. There's no reason for that to exist anywhere. But good times all the same. And listen, let me say, the brew house, that sounds like fun on Saturday night. If you're watching the show, listening in, make sure you're there. I'd love to be there myself.
We would love to have you here, Kevin, at some point. Maybe you're not going to get a weekend off anytime soon, but at some point, maybe.
Maybe a Sunday game.
Okay, yes, maybe a Sunday game. That's a great idea.
Come
on that flight back from New York, just make a quick pit stop here in Charlotte, then you can head on 85 down back to Atlanta with the family. It's a pleasure to see you. And Danny, once again, tremendous job going into the vault. It's been fantastic seeing all that.
That's the brand of Charlotte Soccer Show for sure, is the video vault. And also, I want to say, I'm really pleased to get some Irish. It's great to hear an Irish accent on the show. Johnny has deep Irish roots. I visited Ireland. I was in Dublin last year in the Cliffs of Moher. Absolutely amazing. And you sound great, Kevin.
Well, Johnny looks Irish.
Right. I appreciate you saying that.
Yes. I'd say, where in Ireland are you from? Like that's.
Yes, absolutely. That's right. I'm a family from Southwest Ireland, about two generations ago. So it's great to have a Dubliner on the show today, a good Irishman, Kevin. And you've been a fantastic voice for MLS, and it's been unbelievable to see you take over in the host chair on MLS 360, a fantastic program on Apple TV, MLS Season Pass. So let's just start there, right? You've had this opportunity. We saw earlier in your career. You covering sport in the UK, and then you're here now in the United States and you're covering soccer. How fun has the start to the season been for you in the MLS 360 host chair?
Yeah, I had a little taste of it last year, doing about 5, 6, 7 shows at times when Liam McHugh couldn't do it. So I jumped in and loved it. But I also love calling games. So you're missing the smell of the grass, the excitement at the stadium, the real feel of the fans and the build-up. You miss all that, but what you get in return is true camaraderie with Sash, with Kaelin, with Bradley. The producing staff we have are wonderful. And all around, I think we're building something. Hopefully something special, hopefully something that fans can tune into and look forward to joining during the week. Like this weekend, for example, is going to be insane. We've got 12 games on at the same time. I'm almost sure, and I've reached out to our friends at MLS and Apple to try and confirm this for me, but I'm almost sure this is unprecedented, where we've got 7 kicking off at 7:30 and 5 kicking off at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, meaning 12 games on at the same time. That second hour of MLS 360 is going to be off the chain. It's going to be bonkers.
I like the sound of that. I absolutely like the sound of that, Kevin. And I want to say, before we get super into our game preview here, which we are going to do, I want to shout out, because you do have your Atlanta roots. For people who don't know, you're now the host nationally of MLS 360, but you kind of got your start in the league with Chicago Fire and with Atlanta United. You were there from the beginning with Atlanta, as far as I remember.
Yeah. Again, like I was jumping in, actually, I was filling in for someone else who got the play-by-play job, and I was hosting with beIN Sports down in Miami. We're covering the likes of La Liga, Serie A, Liga, and then I got a shout off. Someone say, "Look, would you be willing to cover for 5 games for Alan Green, who was the commentator for year 1, but he couldn't start on time." So I had the first 5 games. So the very first game in Atlanta for Atlanta United on local TV, Fox Sports South, I was in for that. And yeah, it was Miguel Almiron scored a hat-trick that day. Yeah, I remember it was my birthday. It was just a special occasion. And then with the Chicago Fire before that, from 2012, I started there with the Fire, and through 2015. So it's been a wild journey. I think 2016, the only year I've missed out on MLS since 2012. And it's been a joy to see how much the league has grown. Like, I'll tell you this, given that it's Charlotte Soccer Show, our first broadcast with the Fire in 2012 was the Olympic Stadium home opener for Montreal, their inaugural match in MLS. We called that match from the NASCAR studios in Charlotte.
Wow.
We wanted to save money. And that just shows you, I think, where MLS is now versus then.
Yeah, it absolutely, the growth has been phenomenal. I want to say, now, you did appear one time, I'm sure many times, you appeared on an Atlanta United fan show called Scarves and Spikes.
Do you have more from the vault here, Dan?
I've got more from the vault here. Scarves and Spikes posted this last week, that they celebrated themselves for hitting for the MLS 360 cycle, getting you, Sasha, BWP, and Kaelin all on the show. But they did it. They had to start last year. You were on their show last year. You now are our cycle here on Charlotte Soccer Show.
Boom.
Talk to everybody but you, and we did it all within the same season, same calendar year. So I think that's one up for us on Atlanta, right?
I want to see a tweet as good looking as that one, though. You should do one of the vault, just one of the vault, and have all our awkward old pictures together.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, Kaelin loved the feathered hair look that we found from her back in 2011 for sure. But I do have one more clip in the vault, and I got to show it. And this is just to tell you, like, when I don't know why Atlanta Fan TV wanted to do you like this, Kevin, but this is from a couple years ago. They put this up, and I'm like, I thought you were a fan of this team, right? But here they are, just like looping you getting nutmegged in like a charity game, and I'm just like, why would Atlanta Fan TV do this to their guy Kevin? I don't get it. I just don't get it. I would never do that to you. I would never show that video.
No, Danny, it's all in aid of a good laugh. You could do a lot worse, to be honest. I like. My legs, man, when I'm trying to defend, are as wide as a giraffe. Like, I've got problems there. That one kid, if I ever see him around, first thing he does is remind me of that. Remember that time I nutmegged you at the charity game?
Yes. Yeah, you're going to live with that one for a long time, Kevin. I appreciate you being a good sport about that. It's fun. It's fun to see out there. If we ever have a charity game here in town, we got to make sure that you're on the list. Get you. I mean, you're playing the game. I don't know if we're going to draft you first on defense, but we'll get you on the squad.
You don't. Just leave me last. I'll be the water boy. I'll have a laugh. I'll help pick the team. No, I'm only messing. I love to play. Jess Sharman has been on to me a little bit about trying to play a bit more, even like co-ed or any game, because one of the last times I played was actually with Jess in a charity game where we all had to dress up. I was in like a tux, and she said to me, "We got to get you back out playing some ball." So it's been too long with COVID and with moving house, moving to a different city, and with travel for my previous job and this job as well. I just haven't really been home much, so I need to find my group here in Roswell, Georgia.
Well, we are big fans of Jess Charman as well. You know, she calls our games on the local radio. And with that, I think I've exhausted all the vault material, so I will turn it over to Johnny to get us back on topic here for sure.
Okay, Kevin, you heard us talking about Liel Abada, right? It's a huge signing for Charlotte FC. It comes at a really nice time for this club as well. Early in the season, some nice reinforcements before the summer window. What do you think this signing means for the club and your expectations moving forward with a new young DP in town here in Charlotte?
Yeah, I think it's massive, not only for Charlotte, but for the league. And it's one of those statements that you're getting a 22-year-old coming into his prime, who, when you think 22, like a lot of fellas are just getting out of college here, you know, in the draft at 22. And you look at what Liel has already done at Celtic and with the national team. So I think it's a massive signing for Dean Smith. And let's be honest, it plays into what Dean Smith's trying to do. A real winger, a creative winger. And I think it's only going to help Enzo Copetti or Big Paddy Agyemang further forward. So I think it's a huge signing, and I'm really excited to see him. And I know from what I can tell, and I was speaking to a friend of mine over in Scotland who's a big Celtic supporter, and he just said he's the fans will love him. They'll really get behind him.
Yeah, I would say that's 100% true. Based on Tuesday night, we had you heard Johnny and I talking about off the top of the show. We had a little reception and official introduction, even though he played 30 minutes previous game. But it was an instant connection. And the guy, he's walking around with a giant grin ear to ear on his face. His wife was with him and some family members, and everyone just like they're beginning an MLS adventure and an American adventure. But that was one of the big things with Liel was his connection to fans at his old club at Celtic. And I think it's going to be very strong here as well.
And the fact that Dean plays without and out width, right? Like it's people have used the word simplify an awful lot when talking about Dean Smith, but I think it's accurate. You know, given what was happening with Latanzio the previous year, for someone to come in as personable as Dean Smith is, to have the impact that he's had is not a big surprise. I'm an Aston Villa fan, actually. They've been my team from
excellent.
Kid. And to see what he did at Brentford before going to Villa, you know, I love this. Dino's at the wheel. Brilliant. He's always had this ability to get the best out of a singular number 9. And that's where I'm most intrigued here with Charlotte is, can he get a tune out of Enzo Copetti? Or is Agyemang going to be the guy to absolutely take that role? I know Sasha and Bradley Roy Phillips in particular are massive fans of Agyemang. I know Lloyd Sam is another big fan of Patrick Agyemang and everything that he can offer a team. So can he step up and be that clinical goal scorer and be that true striker and an elite one? Because in terms of his attributes, he's got a soft touch. He's an intelligent player. He's obviously powerful. There's aspects of his game that make you say, yes, he could be the guy to lead the line as that sole number 9 with wide guys, and then the creative force of Breck Diakara. Hopefully I'm saying that close to right.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
Diakara.
Better than most folks
right
say.
on, yes.
Yeah. A creative player like him coming in, obviously Westwood as well. So I think it's a really good signing, and I'm just massively intrigued then to see can Copetti be the guy, because Smith, through the years, whether it's Las Vibe at Brentford, whether it's Ollie Watkins at Brentford and then again at Aston Villa, or whether it's Tammy Abraham in the Championship, he's always led with that singular striker and then had wide guys to really support that striker and some creativity coming from midfield. So that system's been clearly defined for Dean Smith for a long time, and we're seeing that early with Charlotte. The one thing that's probably surprised me about what we're seeing is the real expression from the players. You're seeing guys that are just feeling themselves. They're just confident right now. You can tell this is a group that's in a really, really good place, which I don't think you could say last year.
Absolutely. And I feel like the vibes are good. Bram Bronico is back in practice this week, talking about being in a good place.
Speaking of vibes, Bram Bronico's back.
Yeah. That's always vibes here in Charlotte. He's a fan favorite here.
Yeah, local
everybody
kid.
loves him. Gets back on the pitch this
Have
past
you
Saturday.
had any of his beer yet?
We certainly have. Hot Fly Brewing Company, our presenting sponsor, happened to brew that beer.
Yeah.
The BB13 beer has been fantastic.
It was the launch of the Bronico beer that inspired us to pursue the partnership with Hot Fly, in fact. So there you go.
Yeah, because Hot Fly is just a few blocks away from the stadium here on Mint Street. So they've done an incredible job here in Charlotte, just uplifting the soccer community. We have a phrase on our show, Kevin. Charlotte is a soccer city. And you can just feel the groundswell and the interest. And you experienced that in Atlanta, right? When Atlanta United launches its franchise, all of a sudden you look around, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium is absolutely packed with people, and you kind of pinch yourself and say, wow, soccer is a big deal here. And that same thing is happening in Charlotte. Can you sense that?
Yeah, big time. And all you have to do is look at the records, right? Like Atlanta to start the year, 3 games at home, 3 victories. Charlotte, unbeaten in now 12 games, I believe it is, at the bank. And there's something about the team that has that like that cloak over them to say, like, we can handle anything. Like, throw it at us, we're gonna find a way. And again, a big credit has to go to Dean Smith, I think, on following up from last year's performances at home, but also making sure now you turn those draws into victories. Like, Saturday will sting because it was just so late. But it's also a learning lesson for a lot of those younger players on just how to get the job done, and just whether you need to body Edlin off the ball in a real old school way while not giving away a penalty, do it. Don't let him flick the ball back the way he did.
Yeah, he sucked everyone into himself and then just rolled it on over. It was a nice play. It was a tough goal and tough to stop that goal. We gave every effort, but
let me jump in here real quick, Danny, because I just got to have a request, right? Because you said this, Kevin, and I've got a pet peeve, if you will, with this. The club keeps saying that Charlotte FC is unbeaten in 12 games at Bank of America Stadium. For some reason, they're not counting the Leagues Cup game against Necaxa that Charlotte FC won there as well. So when you go on MLS 360 on Saturday night, if you just make a quick note there, if you want to say that about Charlotte FC, it is, in my mind, 13 games in all competitions.
Boom, done. Easy.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Just needed to make that request.
Yeah,
and by the way, you're completely right. And it's not like, but the club is doing that as well. They're putting out 12. And I'm just thinking from a fan base point of view, right? It's like, we were there that night too. And in all competitions counts, because you know what it's like watching teams oversee all competitions. When you start a run of games of unbeaten streak, that really is something for the fan base to be proud of.
And it matters for the players. But like, I know that they're in there talking about this unbeaten streak now. They're talking about the fact that they're a really good, solid team at home, and players and teams are going to have to come here and beat us. So I think it matters for the players too.
It becomes like a suit of armor that you can wear into your next match for sure. To continue, we're big on the royalty and medieval King Arthur's court analogies here. Right? We just added
who is the true Queen City? Is it Cincinnati or Charlotte?
No, it's definitely Charlotte. It was a draw. We couldn't decide on the pitch last week, but here's what I can say. We were named after a queen, Queen Charlotte. I've never heard of a Queen Cincinnati. That's all my only.
There you go.
There. But what do you think about Charlotte versus Atlanta? Let's talk about that while we have a few more minutes. I know that we're very focused on this match with the Revs, and I would like some thoughts on the Revs for you if we do have time. But since we just went there, what's with the Charlotte-Atlanta rivalry from your eyes? Atlanta more early success than Charlotte has had, but can we learn from their example as a young club coming up in the league?
Yeah, I think so. I think what derailed Atlanta in many ways, I think, over the years was you had the clear identity in what Tata was building, and then the club went away from that a little bit with Frank de Boer, while still having success. I mean, the best record Atlanta has ever had at Mercedes-Benz Stadium over the course of the season was the year under Frank de Boer. I believe it was like 35 home points, something, maybe 39 home points, which was a remarkable season. But the identity changed, and it changed again. And you go Gabriel Heinze to Stephen Glass to Gonzalo Pineda eventually. And I think they're finding their identity now. And I think the same has been said of Charlotte. When you go from Latanzio to Dean Smith, it's just a complete and utter shift. And I think you want to try and avoid that. You want to try and build who you want to be and be who you are, if that makes sense. Like Philadelphia, at least you can say about Philadelphia, we have an identity. We stick to what we know. And you can say the same with the New York Red Bulls. I think for the longest time with Seattle, you could say the same about what they're trying to do on the field is very similar. And you'd like to see that from Charlotte, to learn from Atlanta's mistakes over the years. And when you stick to a certain philosophy and style of play and certain values off the field, that gets percolated down throughout the academy. And the younger players are playing the same way with the same style and speaking the same way. And they know it's the Charlotte way. And you're breeding through talent that understands the way this club is operating. So I think that's really important, and it's probably an area that Charlotte could probably learn from Atlanta. In terms of the rivalry itself, bring it on. I think it's one of those ones that can absolutely grow legs. You want more of a heated rivalry. I forget, like the result last year at Charlotte early on in the season, there was no fight from Charlotte that day. I remember watching that game and thinking, how are they laying down? And
it was horrible.
It was 3-0 at halftime, right?
It was a horrible day, yeah.
Yeah, what was the score at Mercedes-Benz Stadium later in the season?
I think it was 2-1, right? We did get them, yeah.
Yeah.
With Miram came back and scored.
That's right. That's right. Of course he did. So yeah, you want to have that little bit of that ferocious nature to you. When it's a rivalry game, you have to see that from the players, and it's up to the players on either side to make sure that happens.
As somebody grew up in Dublin who became an Aston Villa fan and very close to the Premier League, you know what a real derby is, right? And I think the more derbies there could be in MLS, the better.
It just takes time. And you can't, like, for Atlanta fans, genuinely, for the longest time, their biggest rival was the Red Bulls. And it doesn't have anything to do with geography. It's just the fact that the games always meant something, whether it was chasing the Supporter Shield in 2018, the playoffs in 2018. Atlanta hadn't beaten the Red Bulls in regular season play, I think, until last year. So things like this will happen organically. Rivalries that are forced often feel so fake, don't they?
It's so funny that you say that, because, like, I hate the Red Bulls too. The Red Bulls are who I consider my rival. I don't know if everyone in the supporters community does, but I do, because I hate them the most.
On that, I'm on a call last year with Troy Lesane, and there's a bunch of us on it. And Troy Lesane, obviously coaching DC now, was the coach of the Red Bulls last season. And I say to him on the phone, I say, Troy, have you ever considered the fact that you and your team are the villains of Major League Soccer? In that, when I'm speaking to other coaches before they play the Red Bulls, they spend the majority of the time talking about the Red Bulls as opposed to talking about their own team. And I think he took offense to the villain word. He said to me, I don't see us as villains. And I said, no. I was trying. Maybe I didn't communicate it as well as I could have, but I was trying to get across the point that coaches and fans see the Red Bulls, and it's like, we need to figure out a way to play against this team. And there's kind of nearly a sense of panic at times.
Yeah. And that's actually probably good for the Red Bulls. They probably like that. We have a little bit of time left, and ostensibly this is a match preview show. So I just want to get your thoughts on the Revs. We're going up there. Dean Smith's first trip to New England. I saw Dean at the Liel Abada intro event, and I said, Dean, can you do me 2 favors? Go up there and kick New England's ass, and then burn their fucking stadium to the ground. So I don't know if you want to use that strong a language yourself.
No,
Kevin.
I don't think
know
he
you've
does.
got a job to protect, but what do you think about the Revs?
The Revs are having a disastrous season. It's something that I thought would take a turn a few weeks ago. I'm stunned by how bad they were during the week. 4-0 loss at home. The next leg means nothing. I mean, the tie is over.
Right.
But I actually picked the Revs to be a Supporter Shield candidate. I thought they'd be right up there, first, second, or third in the East. Did not see this coming at all. The talent is there, right? So maybe the new goalkeeper hasn't lived up to what they got from Petrovic and from Turner before. Maybe the fact that you're missing key pieces like Brandon Boy's been injured. Obviously Dylan Barrero's injured. Like, you're missing width, which has maybe changed the way they've had to play, but you still have class. You still have a really good central midfield, a hard-working central midfield. You can go with different looks as well there, like the likes of Polster, Harks. Further forward, Nacho Hill alongside his gem of a brother, Carlos Hill. The class is there. Vrioni's been the key, and in many ways, that's a common trend here between Charlotte and New England is, have they got the number 9 to be elite? Quite honestly, and I don't think they have in Vrioni. I don't think Vrioni's the guy, and he certainly hasn't proved it so far. And he got dismissed in the first game of the season against DC United, which cost them dearly. DC went on, and Benteke scored a hat-trick. I don't think this team is in a good place mentally. That's the sense you get from afar, and I think it could be a chance for Charlotte to go there, be really organised, force New England to set the tempo and set the agenda at home, remain compact, and Charlotte in transition can be very effective, and that's the sort of game that Liel Abada could absolutely thrive in. So I think this is a win on the road for Charlotte if they play their cards right.
It would be the first 3 points on the road this season. Charlotte, a team now in its 3rd year, has not had a lot of success on the road, and maybe this is a good opportunity for Dean Smith to get that rolling.
What's Kevin, the vibe like in Charlotte now, guys? What's it like at the moment?
The vibe in Charlotte is very, very good, based on what you've mentioned as well, right? I think, it's a city, and for a number of different reasons, right? It's a city that's looking for a winner. And it's because the Panthers have really struggled. The Hornets have really struggled. This time on the calendar specific, Kevin, is a time where typically the Charlotte sports scene is totally dead. And now that has completely changed with MLS and this club and the hiring of Dean Smith, a young player like Patrick Ajamong that the fans really love, a back line that is performing tremendously well, and now a new signing, the DP. So as far as hope, they say on Ted Lasso, it's the hope that kills you. But the vibes are good, and we certainly are hoping for another playoff appearance and maybe the best finish in club history in year 3. So that's the vibes for sure.
It's coincided with the East being absolutely stacked as well, which is the big time challenge. All throughout the list of Eastern Conference teams, there's one or two, like Chicago, look like they may fall away again, but then again, they've got Kuipers is only going to get better, and certain players within that squad. Philadelphia, unbeaten, but they've yet to really peak this season in terms of performances. There's so many teams. Montreal are much better than a lot of people expected. And a lot of teams with good vibes too. Like the vibe in Atlanta is wonderful. The vibe in Montreal is incredible at the moment. So that's the challenge here for the Eastern Conference teams like Charlotte, is just making sure that you can absolutely pick up points against the West, because the East is stronger than the West right now.
And we also picked up 3 points against the defending champion Columbus Crew. That's all I'll say about
that. What a win. They didn't have a shot on target aside from the distance goal.
Who needs it?
Yeah, it's always helpful to get to play against 10 men for 60, 70 minutes in a match, and that certainly happened. Well, Kevin, I just want to thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure to see you here. Have a great broadcast this weekend. And I'm looking at the schedule, right? And I'm thinking about, okay, we talked about maybe a Sunday match, and there is a Sunday match on at Atlanta. In June, Sunday, June 2nd. So maybe book that flight home early on that Sunday morning, and we'll meet you down in Atlanta for the I-85 Derby, or whatever we want to call it.
I can't wait. That's actually the next game I can bring my son to as well. So I will be there, no question. And I'd love to join you guys, even have a beer beforehand or something, catch up. That'd be absolutely class. And get involved in the show. We'd love your opinions. For anyone listening, hashtag MLS360. We're live for it's just 3 hours this weekend because of the 12 games are all packed together. And it should be an example of what 360 should be. Like it just goals, chances. I mean, our chance to speak, forget about it. We're just going to be bouncing from game to game. I'll be interrupting the co-hosts and saying we got to go because there's been a goal. So it's a lot of fun so far, and I appreciate you guys having me to chat about the game. I'm happy to come on anytime.
Love it. I appreciate you saying that. Cheers to you, and keep your head on a swivel with those 12 games. It's unprecedented. Make sure you catch Charlotte's action. Hey, maybe there'll be a lot of goals you're showing from Charlotte FC. Enzo Copetti might open his account. Liel Abada might open his account. Who knows? Maybe a lot of talking points.
Real quick, what's the feeling on Copetti in Charlotte, guys?
I'll leave this one to you, Danny.
Mixed bag. He has his fans that absolutely love him and will defend him no matter what. And then there's people that are starting to get sick of, like, they've just seen too many times the missed chances and like the shot straight 1v1s against the keeper, shot straight into the dude's gut, and passing up the penalty, giving it to Vargas in the first game of the season. And, get your account going before you start giving stuff away. And so it's a mixed bag, but he has his diehard defenders that are huge Copetti fans, and they're going to love him no matter what.
Yeah. Bradley Roy Phillips is a massive fan. And I'll say this. We had one, if I have time here to tell this quick story.
We have as much time as you have. Sure.
There's one occasion where we're looking at a game that Copetti, he was in an offside position and he received the pass. But you could tell, and Bradley explained this to me, and this is as someone who never played professionally, I didn't spot this at all, and I wouldn't spot this. It's the sort of thing that I think a striker spots. Copetti didn't want that pass. Copetti wanted it to go out to the left, and then Copetti was going to get the next one. And for whatever reason, he looked frustrated in the moment. And Bradley's there, and Bradley's like, he goes, that's the wrong pass. You don't give him that ball. It makes him look bad. And he's purposefully being in an offside position so that ball can be, played out to the left, and then the next ball is to him. So Bradley seems to think that it's going to click. And he really, really likes, he said Copetti's movement is some of the best movements you'll see in the league across Major League Soccer. And when that clicks, he thinks that the goals will fall because he thinks he's a smart striker, and he's just got to get on the same wavelength now as his teammates and make it happen. I know it's frustrating for you guys, but I just thought a 2-time Golden Boot winner and Bradley Roy Phillips, when he watches every striker, and there's some strikers scoring goals that frustrate Bradley to bits, and there's other strikers like Copetti, and he's like, just wait. If Dean Smith gets the right wingers there and they make smarter plays, Copetti's going to look a lot smarter and he's going to score goals. And I just thought that was a nice little, anecdote that he spotted.
I appreciate that story. I really do. And fantastic. And let's be real about it. On the right wing, Charlotte FC has not had really any threat so far this season. So if you're playing center back, if you're playing left back for an opposition, you've got a chance to defend Copetti with two guys all the time. And this is why Liel Abada could be so important for this club.
Big time. And watch, like Cucho Hernandez, when we talk about lingering in an offside position, is constantly lingering in an offside position. But it's done on purpose. And Bradley Roy Phillips said, I used to do the exact same thing. And he obviously grew up with Ian Wright being his dad, one of the best Premier League strikers ever. And he's just learned how to, he thinks like a striker. He was living and breathing the world of a striker. And so he'd do that on purpose. And he said, if I got that pass off a teammate, I'd be furious because I'm doing this on purpose so that you can slip the ball through to Mike Grella, for example, and then Grella knows where I'm at. And you see that with Columbus all the time. There was a goal there a few weeks ago when it was a ball over the top. It was Yaya Boa got in behind, and it was just perfect. And he was lingering in an offside position, Cucho, and then all of a sudden he's onside, back of the net, goal, easy. And that's where I think Bradley hopes that he'll see a bit of, just a little bit of understanding improve and evolve within this Charlotte group to really get the best out of Copetti.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, the phrase I use is keeping the faith. I'm keeping the faith with Copetti. I have not lost faith. I'm keeping the faith. Some people in the fan base have. But the thing that you mentioned that's so echoed by the people inside the club, I'll just say, Dean Smith especially, is he loves Dean Smith has loved everything he's seen from Copetti except the finishing, because he loves the movement. He loves the runs in behind. Like, I haven't heard a Dean Smith press conference yet where he hasn't said the phrase runs in behind, because it's just always on his mind. So I think Copetti is doing what he needs to do from a coaching staff point of view. He just needs to finish from the fan point.
Now he's got to get here right, because you're absolutely spot on. You do not pass the ball off to Vargas, and you're about to take a penalty. Was that opening week? I think it was.
Yeah, yes. Opening week.
And you're going to pass that off. And you're the main man. You're the DP. You're the striker. No, you can't do that. So it was encouraging to see Copetti take the ball to take the penalty. I know it was ruled off through video review a few weeks later, but it was encouraging to see Copetti say, no, I'm taking it. So the next one when he's on the field, although I say that, but Dean Smith, didn't he say they would penalty kick competition and Gianni won it?
Yes.
So that's why.
It's been so the rookie Yuri Tavares took and missed 2 weeks ago against Columbus. Yeah. And then Diani took and nailed it against Cincinnati. And it seems to be like a revolving week-to-week thing, whoever does the best in practice, which I'm not going to question Dean Smith's methods. I don't know about that one.
Well, the best thing that could happen is a penalty at the weekend and Copetti tucks it away.
I think if Copetti had been on the field for either of those, he instantly takes, for sure.
Totally.
Yeah. 100%. And we'll see what happens, because we mentioned this earlier this week on Sunday on the show. We said this is really the first time all year, just based on injuries and how the season started, that Dean Smith is going to have to decide who gets to start at number 9 on Saturday night. Is it Enzo Copetti or is it Patrick Aljamain? We'll find out at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time when that lineup is dropped. Then you can catch Kevin and the crew on MLS 360 after that. It's been such a pleasure to have you, Kevin. Wish you nothing but the best. Enjoy your weekend. Safe travels up to New York. And we'll see you in a couple months down in Atlanta.
Can't wait. John, Danny, thank you. Absolute gentlemen. Great show. Thanks for having me on, and look forward to that beer in Atlanta.
Cheers. Thanks, Kevin. I really appreciate you. We'll talk to Kevin soon. Danny, it's great to see you. And remember, Saturday night, tailgate, 6 o'clock here at Hot Fly Brewing Company, and 7 o'clock pregame show, kickoff at 7:30. So, Danny, until next time.
For the crown, baby.